A secret flight, a palace meeting, an Emirati president personally driving an Israeli prime minister through the gates. Now Tehran says it knew all along. While missiles rained on Abu Dhabi, Netanyahu was inside the kingdom. And the Iron Dome, it was already there. Was it shielding the UAE or one man? On March 26th, Benjamin Netanyahu slipped into the UAE at the height of the US-Israeli war against Iran, met Sheikh Mohamed bin Zayed, and was personally driven by the Emirati president from the plane to the palace. And Iran, it now turns out, may have known the whole time. The Israeli PM went public with the covert trip on May 13th, hailing it as a historic breakthrough. His former spokesman Ziv Agman, who says he was there, confirmed the account on social media.
The Sheikh greatly respected the Prime Minister and personally drove the Prime Minister in his personal car from the plane to the palace.
But before any of that became public, Israel had already sent Iron Dome batteries and soldiers to the UAE to operate them, perhaps to shield their leader. On May 12th, US Ambassador Mike Huckabee confirmed the deployment, calling the Israel-UAE bond extraordinary. The heads of Mossad and Shin Bet had also made separate secret trips to coordinate military and intelligence operations on the ground.
Israel just sent the UAE Iron Dome batteries and personnel to help them operate them. How come? Because there's an extraordinary relationship between the UAE and Israel based on the Abraham Accords.
Whether those systems were there to defend the UAE or to keep Netanyahu alive during his visit is a question no one in Jerusalem or Abu Dhabi is answering. Abu Dhabi, for its part, denied the visit ever happened, calling the claims entirely unfounded and urging the media to stop circulating what it called misleading political narratives.
The UAE reaffirms that its relations with Israel are public and conducted within the framework of the well-known and officially declared Abraham Accords and are not based on non-transparent or unofficial arrangements.
Then Tehran spoke and made the stakes plain. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi claimed Iran's intelligence services had tracked Netanyahu's movements all along, though he did not explain why Tehran stayed silent for weeks.
Netanyahu has now publicly revealed what Iran's security services long ago conveyed to our leadership. Enmity with the great people of Iran is a foolish gamble. Collusion with Israel in doing so, unforgivable. Those colluding with Israel to sow division will be held to account.
Iran has fired some 550 ballistic missiles and over 2,000 drones at the UAE during the war, more than at any other country in the region. A ceasefire came into effect on April 8th, though attacks on the UAE have continued since. While the world watched the US and Israel strike Iran, someone else was quietly joining in. According to a report by the Wall Street Journal, the United Arab Emirates has been carrying out its own military strikes on Iran, making Abu Dhabi the only other country to enter the war as an active combatant. The strikes, never publicly acknowledged by the UAE, included an attack on an oil refinery on Iran's Lavan Island in the Persian Gulf in early April, around the time US President Trump declared a ceasefire. Iran knew it had been hit. Tehran said at the time the refinery had come under enemy attack, then fired a barrage of missiles and drones at the UAE and Kuwait in response. What Iran may not have fully reckoned with was why. The country had made the UAE its single biggest target in the entire conflict, launching more than 2,800 missiles and drones at the Gulf state, more than it fired at Israel. The attacks battered Emirati airports, tourism and property markets, triggering mass layoffs and fundamentally changing how Abu Dhabi sees Tehran.
It's significant to have a Gulf Arab country as a warring party that struck Iran directly. Tehran will now aim to further drive a wedge between the UAE and other Gulf Arabs who are trying to mediate an end to the war.
Washington, for its part, was not displeased. One person familiar with the matter told the Journal that the US had quietly welcomed UAE participation after other Gulf states refused to join the fight. The UAE's Air Force, equipped with French Mirage fighters, advanced F-16s, refueling aircraft, and surveillance drones, gave it capabilities few in the region could match. Researchers tracking open-source imagery had pointed to what appeared to be Emirati aircraft operating over Iran weeks before the Journal's report.
If you have that capable of an air force, why would you sit back and absorb attacks from Iran without responding?
The UAE's foreign ministry has declined to comment, pointing instead to previous statements asserting its right to respond militarily to hostile acts. The Pentagon said nothing at all, but in a war already short on certainty, one thing is now clearer. The map of who is fighting whom just got bigger. When Iran began bombarding the United Arab Emirates with missiles and drones in the early days of the war, Abu Dhabi made a call that would have been unthinkable not long ago: to Jerusalem. According to multiple Israeli and US officials cited by Axios, UAE President Mohamed bin Zayed rang Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu seeking help. Netanyahu's response was to order the IDF to deploy an Iron Dome battery, along with several dozen soldiers to operate it, to the Emirates. It was the first time Israel had ever sent the system to another country, and the first time it had been used operationally outside of the US or Israel. Iran had thrown everything it had at the UAE. Official Emirati figures put the barrage at around 550 ballistic and cruise missiles and more than 2,200 drones. The volume was simply overwhelming, and the Iron Dome, for all its reputation, could not hold the line entirely. Some missiles broke through, striking both military and civilian targets across the country. 11 people were reported killed, and 188 suffered injuries in the course of 40 days. Damage was reported as far as Palm Jumeirah in Dubai. The system intercepted dozens of Iranian missiles, Israeli officials confirmed. But against a barrage of that scale, interception rates that would be considered a success in other theaters still left the UAE absorbing real hits. The Israeli Air Force also conducted strikes on short-range missile positions in southern Iran to reduce the volume of fire reaching the Gulf. An acknowledgement, perhaps, that the dome alone was not enough. Saudi Arabia, the West's biggest ally, however, got no such system, despite also coming under Iranian fire. Riyadh has made clear that normalization with Israel remains conditional on meaningful progress toward a Palestinian state. That political gap, even amid a common enemy, was enough to keep the Iron Dome out of Saudi hands. The contrast is hard to miss. Two Gulf neighbors, both targeted by Iran, both broadly aligned with the West, and yet one received Israel's most prized air defense system, while the other was left to fend for its own. Apparently in the Middle East, who you call in a crisis still depends on the deals you have made before it started.